Before we start, I'd like to talk about a couple of things. Firstly, for those who do watch my game streams or Euro Truck Simulator streams, whether they are games or not, that is subjective, I have finally purchased a steering wheel, so hopefully the twitching will stop and I'll crash a lot more. Second, thank you Nestle for this piece of fan art, thank you Miss Steam for this doll fan art, and thank you Asher Chu for this sandwich, or Sammich, fan art. I hate saying the word fan art, because to me they're all just beautiful art, regardless. Thank you very much for them, I very much appreciate it, and today we're going to talk for the 5th time, a 5th time, about Shamima Begum, or Begum. I have been corrected a few times, I do apologise for getting it wrong. I noticed in the debates, people talking on Twitter and in the comments to the videos, about whether or not, because of her age, whether she had the capacity to make an informed decision to go to Syria, to marry a guy, have kids with the guy, live in an area that is utopia, the caliphate, and then beg to come home because it turns out terrorists are bad, yo. And there is a point to that. We are, as younger people, prone to falling in with the wrong crowd, being manipulated, groomed, and generally we do get led astray by some people. In Shamima's case, it was being taken to ISIS rallies. Yeah, that helped, by her stepfather, I believe, not her father, as her father is in Bangladesh. To those people, I tend to understand, and I can certainly empathise with the argument. However, and this is where the water gets a tad murky, because yes, we should have made a concerted effort to get her and return her then. She stayed, she settled, and she adhered. She complied with ISIS. Now yes, she has fessed up, she has owned up, she has shown a shred of guilt, not much of guilt, but I'm not convinced. It is worthy of coming back. Second, and this is interesting on the subject of Shamima Begum, her father originally said that he was on the Home Office's side when it came to revoking his daughter's citizenship. Well, he's kind of changed his stance a bit, and I think it's worth addressing, because he claimed that his comments were misinterpreted and that the UK was duty-bound to let her return, where he said the British government should take her back because she is a British citizen. Well, as her citizenship got revoked, no they don't. If she has committed any crime, they should bring her back to London, to her country, not a country, and punish her there. No, and this is where the issue arises, misunderstanding of one basic tenet. She may have broken laws in this country, but she's in a detainment camp in Syria because she broke laws in Syria. Let's forget the fact that she committed fraud when she used someone else's passport to leave the country. She's in a Syrian internment or detainment camp, the Daeshi section of the refugee camp, which happens to be fenced off with barbed wire because she is a jihadi wife. I know, glamorous, which does bring us to a part 3 in a moment on that subject. If she broke a law in Syria, which I believe she has, hence why she is there, I assume by guilt by association, as she claims ignorance for all of ISIS's nasty, dirty deeds, then she should be punished for that. There. If it is simply the case that one breaks a law in another country, then they go home to suffer the punishment there, I think it defeats the point of obeying the law of the land, don't you? She was in bed with ISIS, in a city that did not belong to them. Case closed, really. Now to go back to the jihadi wives part, so I guess number 3 in this, Shamima Begum has fled the jihadi wives area. She's vanished into the night. I mean, it's not going to be easy to find somebody that looks like a bin liner with eye holes if she's not wearing shade. People don't exactly stand out. This is one of those wonderful perks of showing your face, because now we can identify you, whereas before, you didn't stand much of a chance, and of course now you don't stand much of a chance either. How can you truly identify where Shamima Begum is at all? And she fled it because she committed one of the most haram things you could imagine. She showed her face. I know, everyone. Slut. So at the time of recording, no one knows where Shamima Begum is, and we'll certainly get to more on her in a moment anyway when we talk about her husband, who is supposed to be the focal point of this video, but apparently I got sidetracked. I'm easily sidetracked. I might have ADHD, or just be distracted by so much shining. Hopefully she is found soon and returned to her lovely holiday home, where she might get beaten by the jihadi wives of ISIS. Now, onto the subject of her husband, because this one is quite interesting. he recently gave an interview with the BBC, and this is quite fascinating. Her husband, as many of you don't know, is Dutch. His name is Jego Rijic. I know I've mispronounced that, I just don't care. And he married her when she turned up at Syria. Taken to a lovely place, she asked him some questions, she thought he was fit, they got it on, right. Now rather interestingly, her husband has not had his citizenship revoked. I'm not sure what the politics are there. I know he was on a terrorist watch list in his native country, but safe to say he hasn't had it revoked, and I don't care enough to look into how the Netherlands as a whole has received the knowledge that he still exists, and has yet to be erased by an airstrike. Now, Mr. Begum, I know that's not his last name, but I'm going to call him that from now on, is being held in a Kurdish detention call centre in northeast Syria, and he currently faces 6 years behind bars if he returns home. He, trying to appear to be innocent in all this while admitting to fight for them, is claiming that he rejected ISIS and tried to leave. Bit late for that now, don't you think? I am curious whether you go home or not, and I'm going to play the clip from the BBC of him talking about his experiences, because I do think one must understand this moron's ideas, beliefs, thoughts. If you can call them that, let's face it, the word thought associated with this moron is rather charitable.
To be honest, when my friend came and he said there was a girl she was interested in marriage, I wasn't really interested because of her age, but I accepted the offer anyways, and we sat down, and she seemed like a geschikt. How do you say it? She seemed like in a good state of mind.
All quite fascinating, really, when you think about it. One of the things I find quite fascinating in the bit you saw is that he himself conceded that she was a bit young. I mean, she was only 15 and wanted to get married, and only recently had fallen in love with religion. But he was quoted as saying she was very young, maybe it would have been better for her to wait a bit. But she didn't. She chose to get married, and I chose to marry her. Isn't it fascinating? We've gotten to an age of convenience, in the sense where we can just get anything we want if we have the money for it. And we can get it with a click of our fingers or tentacle. It's never used to be like that. But there was an age of convenience in marriage. Always has been, in the form of arranged marriages. And this is no different. I'm surprised we haven't already got to the point where we just walk into a room and get a wife or husband or a body pillow to share our lives with. Because let's face it, that would save a lot of time on courting, dating, appeasing the future in-laws, which reminds me of a really bad joke, which I'm going to tell you because I'm bored enough to do it. What is the difference between an in-law and an outlaw? Outlaws are wanted. I know, hilarious and told by a professional. You're all welcome. Now, if Mr. Begum does get returned to the Netherlands, of course there is a chance his son could go there as well as Shamima. That's not where she wants to go, but the Netherlands does have a reasonably good education system, a reasonably accepting and tolerant society, even with my limited research, i.e. But I heard stories from family. They all say the same thing. Nice place, shit cafes. And there is a chance your child might not grow up to be an extremist, like the parent. I mean, the last thing you want is your child to repeat your mistakes, right? And you just scream role model, don't you, Mr. Begum? Since his arrest, Mr. Begum has told the BBC that not only was he imprisoned, but he was tortured after extremists accused him of being a Dutch spy, which is highly likely, really. I mean, they do have to cross all the I's, dot all the T's, and twist your nuts a little. I'm sorry, I don't want to feel sorry for you, so I'm doing everything I can to make a concerted effort to not. Because quite frankly, you are, any of you, that go and fight for ISIS, an abomination to society, and an insult to the honour of your country. I don't think the Netherlands should welcome you back. I think you should do your time in Syria. And if that means your human rights are abused, that's not on me. That's not on my country, it's not on the Netherlands either. That is on everyone else to condemn if they want, otherwise enjoy your time in your detention call centre, okay? I'm somewhat running out of patience. I'm glad the Home Office in the United Kingdom is finally starting to clamp down on this. It is just a shame that many hundreds have been welcomed back into this country and basically been treated very well, to the point where I can be sure many of them have continued to allow extremism to breed. It is an affront to the very nature of what it means to be British. Okay. Anyway, I'm done with this. Hopefully no more comes out, nothing more turns up, and quite frankly this disappears soon enough. I am very sorry that you've had to put up with this for a 5th video. Maybe I should put this in a playlist. We'll call it the Shamima Begum Case File Timeline Doodah. Yeah. Anyway, have a nice Monday, and thank you all for listening.